one heart. Let's get together and feel all right. Hear the children crying, one love. Hear the children crying, one heart. Saying, give thanks and praise unto the Lord, and I will feel all right. Say, let's get together and feel all right. Destiny Squad, roll out. How are you feeling today, guys? I hope that you are feeling well. Don't you just miss those good times when you could just listen to these good reggae music where adults could sit, listen to them. You could have your children listening to them. Christians could listen to them. Everybody could listen to them without feeling, a bit like they have curse words, like they are not suitable for children. Sorry, these are the good old days. These are the good old songs. Don't you just miss them? When you could just come out and say, one love, one heart. Let's get together and feel all right. Hear the children crying, one love. Hear the children crying, one heart. Let's get together and feel all right. Give thanks and praise unto the Lord, and I will feel all right. Hey guys, how are you doing today? Almost there, almost the end of the year. I hope that you had a very lovely Christmas. I hope that you did something well, did something for yourself, because self-love, self-care is really important. Now, the question that we have to ask, I'm going to start by saying, how hands-on are you with when it comes on to your health? Are you more proactive or are you reactive, right? Where the thing has to happen to you, you have to start feeling pain somewhere, and then you start thinking about the doctor. Because the topic that we are dealing with today is men and women's health. Where's our head at? So that tells you that I'm talking about myself as well. When you become an adult, there are certain things, certain responsibilities that we have, and we have to start acting accordingly. Now, of course, you may say to me, but look, nobody knows 100%, what is going on in their body. And if that's what you're thinking, I 100% agree with you. Because, of course, we do not know what is happening in our bodies. But in the same breath, it is true to say that, there are certain illness, certain ailments that comes with age, certain things that actually run in our family that puts us at greater risk of developing, certain ailments and stuff. So, of course, whilst I agree that nobody knows for sure or can be 100% sure as to what is happening in our bodies, we have to start thinking based on, we being human, based on the aging process, based on biology that tells us that certain things happen as we get older. So, for example, we know that as we get older, of course, the joints become brittle, the joints, the bones, they become weaker, they become brittle, they become stiff, right? So that is something that we know. It comes with the aging process. So if we know that these things come with the aging process, then of course, to a certain extent, there are certain things that we can do to actually to reduce the risk of certain things happening to us. So yes, I'm going to put it out there. My training is in business. My training is in human resource management. So just like everybody else, when it comes on to like biology and everything like that, I've had to do some reading, and it's just based on us aging. So the things that I'm going to talk about, it is things that I follow through for myself as well. And of course, these are just recommendations. This is just me talking to my brother. This is just me talking to my sister to say, look, as adults, where's our head at when it comes on to our health, when it comes on to self-care, what are we doing about it, and things like that. So just like I have said, there are certain things that comes with the aging process. So we actually know, like I've said, the bones and the joints, you start feeling differently, right? There are certain other ailments that of course comes on as well. So we know about the arthritis, we know about the high blood pressure, we know about the diabetes and so forth. But there are, so, we actually know that those things, we are more prone to developing those conditions as we get older. Although, to be fair, there are certain things that was usually seen, certain conditions that were usually seen in the elderly, and nowadays the young people are actually getting them as well. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to speak a bit about, what I have learned. Okay, so if we know that the stiffness is going to come on, the bones are going to get brittle, then we can read up, and what we can do, a part of actually helping us in the process, is that we actually need to move them some more. So that is where a little exercise comes in. We have to do our little walking if we can. We have to go to the gym if we can. We have to do a little jogging here if we can. We have to just move our bodies. Anything that we are comfortable with. So for some people, it is Pilates. For other people, it is getting on the dance floor. It is whatever you are comfortable with, in terms of moving your body, because we know that if we don't move them, men and women, of course, we are going to feel old, we are going to feel weak, the bones are going to feel, the bones get weaker. So we can help the process as we go along. In addition to that, men and women, we have to start thinking about our diets as well. So there are certain things that we can do to actually help as we go along. We know that calcium is helps to develop strong bones. So we have to start thinking about, our intake of calcium. I know that a lot of people, including myself, sometimes, you start taking supplements. But of course, I've heard it before, and I would agree that the nutrients that we find in the natural food is best. So I actually did a little research. I looked up to see, okay, what type of food contain the calcium more, and these are the ones that I have found. So I'm going to read them. Let me look for it and see the food that is strong or high in calcium. All right, so let me see. Okay, let me see. High in calcium. Sorry, guys, I'm looking up. All right. So the food that I've discovered high in calcium are as follows. So we have dairy products. So we're talking about the milk, we're talking about the cheese, we need to up our intake. Talking about nuts as well, almond nuts, very strong, very, good for that as well. Broccoli, talking about any green leafy vegetable, is going to be high in calcium. Talking about salmon, talking about, our fish, our sardines, those things are going to be, we need to sort of include them in our diet. Talking about the soy products, so any plant based drink with calcium added is going to be very, very important. So yes, remember, as adults, yeah, we need to actually, watch what we are eating. We have to change up our diets. And a lot of us, even without even we can tell that as you get older, you probably feel it. The bulge comes on. So it's easier for you to put on weight. So that's alone should, tells us that look, we have to be careful what we put into our bodies, because it will actually show up on us. If you are like me, for me, when I eat, whatever I eat just shows up. So I have to be careful what I eat, especially if you are not moving a lot. You have to be careful, right? Some people, what they do is that they weigh themselves, which is, that is like, for some people, some people are not comfortable doing that. For some people, what they do is that they eat, but as soon as they get to a certain weight, then they know that they should cut back on certain things. So whatever works for you, just know, as some of you are discovering, the older you get, the weight just comes on so easily. Okay, so that's one thing, how we can know that we actually need to change up. It's because we're getting older. So we know that we need to change up certain things. Another way is that, okay, hereditary conditions are as well, are things that you must not take lightly. So for example, if 3 to 4 people in your family have had breast cancer, then you know that you are at a greater risk of actually developing it. If 3 to 4 people in your family have had like prostate cancer, then you know that, okay, that is one condition that you actually need to pay attention to. A lot of us, and I would suggest that, you have like one doctor, as a doctor who will know your condition, who will know your history. As a matter of fact, most doctors, when you go to them, the first thing they want to know is about like your hereditary, what condition is in your family. So if you know of a particular condition or conditions that a lot of members of your family have had, then of course you need to start looking out for those early. So you may say, okay, how can I treat what is not there? And I agree with you. If the thing is not there, you can treat it. However, there is something that you can do to reduce the likelihood of it happening, and not just reduce the likelihood. In some cases, reduce the likelihood. In another case, what you can do is for the condition to be caught quickly, if you happen to have it as well, right? So how can you actually reduce the likelihood, or how can you ensure that if you are going to catch it, then of course it is caught quickly? Because we know that for certain conditions, the quicker they are caught, then the quicker the treatment can be started and the more effective the treatment is going to be. Okay, so what am I talking about? I'm talking about having an annual medical. I call it the body's MOT, right? It is where you go in once per year, and you just, once you have a stable doctor, then of course they can do like a full body checkup, paying attention to certain things, certain ailments that is actually hereditary, certain conditions that are in your family. So, going back to my previous live streaming, you will see that I actually mentioned something about New Year's resolution. So, yes, where's our head at? It could be that one of the things that we want to include in the resolution for next year is that we are going to have a full body, do an annual medical, do a full body MOT. Because, a lot of the body is the engine. And just like how you do a MOT for your car, you should actually do a body MOT, one for yourself as well, because your body is like the engine. And if the engine is not working, then nothing else that you are planning for is going to matter. So the same interest you put out in trying to, have a better life, in trying to, earn that money that all of us want to have a more comfortable life. It's the same importance we have to put out in actually taking care of our bodies. And one such thing is to actually have that annual checkup, so that, if anything is going on in the body, then of course, it can be caught easy, quicker. So we are going to start being more proactive than reactive, where we just go to the doctor when we are actually not feeling well, right? We are going to start changing that around. Now, a study, I'm going to read a survey. Men, in saying this, I'm going to say, I got you. I got you, men. Okay. So according to a survey done by the Cleveland Clinic on June 18th, 2021, 65% of men avoid going to the doctor. Only 43% of men between the ages of 35 and 54 years of age sees a doctor for an annual checkup. A whopping 77% of those who were interviewed, men who were interviewed, said that they would prefer go shopping with their wife or significant other than going to the doctor. And we know that actually men do not like to go shopping. So if you have a whopping 77% of men saying, as much as they hate going shopping with their partners, they would prefer to go shopping than to go to the doctor, then that is actually telling you something. But men, look, I know that the ladies are laughing because perhaps they know that the man in their life, that is the case, that is the situation. But look here, men, I got you. You are going to surprise them. What you are going to do is that, as a part of your New Year's resolution, you are going to, without anybody telling you, you are going to think about doing an annual medical. You are going to surprise your significant other. You're going to go out, you're going to book that medical, and you're going to come back and laugh in their face. Right, men? Right. Okay, so going back to everything else that I have been saying, yes, just like everybody else, I'm talking about, I said that about men, but remember, as much as ladies are more likely to go to the doctor when they feel unwell, because we know that men just don't like going to the doctor. It's just one of those things. As much as ladies, would not mind going to the doctor, none of us like to go to the doctor. And that is because we are fearful, because I get scared as well. When I go to the doctor, I am scared of the result. Now, so how is it going to work? In some countries, medical is not free. In the UK, we are fortunate to have a free healthcare system. So it makes it a bit easier for us. So how it works is that when you get to a certain age, you do not have to say anything to your general practitioner. So let me backtrack how it works. So in the UK, what you do is that you register with a local doctor. We call a GP, which stands for general practitioner. Now that person is sort of responsible for you. So if you need to if something is wrong with you, that's the only person that you are going to go to, because that is where you are registered. You cannot just go to any and any doctor. I know that in countries where healthcare is not free, you can choose your doctor anytime, right? But in the UK, One is there, and that's a person who is responsible for referring you. So if something goes wrong, then you go to your GP. If you have to be referred to the hospital, then you are referred to the hospital. The only time you go into to the hospital directly is if there is an emergency. Now, this has its advantages because when you get to a certain age, your GP will book in a cervical cancer test, right? So automatically, you don't have to say, okay, I'm feeling sick or anything like that. They automatically send you a letter in the post to say that you actually need to come in for a cervical cancer test. After you have had the first one, then one is booked I think every 2 years. And when I say it is booked every 2 years, it is based on the result. So if the results is favorable, then they will say, okay, there is no immediate concern, so we'll book you in for another 2 years. If they have noticed anything, if the result is a bit irregular, something, that's of concern, they will do two things. They will either monitor the condition, or they will actually book you in to the hospital immediately. If it is something, if they have noticed something, if the result comes back to say that, something needs to be addressed immediately. So that is done for cervical cancer tests. That is done, that is organized. We don't need to think about it. Mind you, when you register with your GP, they actually ask you about the conditions that run in your family. So they have a basic idea of what's going on with you, and they know how to approach it. They know what to look out for. So if there's high blood pressure in your family, history of arthritis, cataract, anything like that, it is on your record, right? So like I've said, the cervical cancer test is booked in. Another one that is booked in for you as well is the mammogram, right? So that is the breast screening. So in that, when it is like that, it does the work for you. However, you should not just leave it like that, right? Because you know that one is going to automatically be sent to you in the post. The letter is going to be sent for you to come in and do the cervical cancer test. When you get to a certain age, you're going to be sent a letter to do the mammogram, which is the breast screening when you get to a certain age. You can still help yourself because there is it's here on YouTube. On Google, you can see where they tell you how to actually do your self screen, almost like a testing to see if you're feeling any lumps in your breast or anything like that. So does it mean that you can only get treatment when you get to when you are at a certain age? No. It means that if you have not complained about anything, then that's the time that they are going to start, looking into things, because it comes with age as well. You're more susceptible to certain conditions, etc. Now, if you're living outside of the UK, you probably are thinking, yeah, that's all well and good. You can think about it. It's free healthcare or anything like that. Like I have said, remember, health is wealth. So just like you are planning for everything else, you need to see your health as a priority. Just like how you save for other things in life, you are going to save as well. You are going to include as a part of your priority an annual full body checkup, what we call the annual medical. Because remember, it does not say, the annual medical does not prevent any conditions coming your way. What it does, however, is that it catches it early. And like I have said, the earlier certain conditions are actually caught, then the sooner the treatment can start. And of course, the greater the likelihood of you actually surviving certain things. So I would encourage you, as I encourage myself, to actually include, that annual checkup, annual medical as a part of your resolution as well, because we have to start taking care of ourselves. Health care, self care as well is important. Like I have said, our body, this is the engine, man. And if the engine fails, then anything else that you are actually, planning is going to be pointless because the body cannot take it, right? And of course, as I touch on self care, very close to self care is self love. And that is what the next screening, which is live screening, that is coming up on Friday, is all about. So this is not saying you should be doing XYZ. It is not saying telling you off that, look, you should be doing this and you're not doing that. This is a community where I'm saying I'm encouraging you, just like I'm encouraging myself to say, look, we're changing things around. And one of the things that we are going to include going forward is our annual medical to ensure that we are on the right track. Men and women, where's our head at? Our head is going to be at eating healthy. Our head is going to be at changing up our diet as we get older, because this is just biology. This is how the human body works, right? And of course, if you can't take if you're not healthy for yourself, you cannot be healthy for anybody else. So this is what I have to say. Take care of yourselves until I do another live stream, until I upload another video, guys. I'm going to say take care of yourselves, and as usual, peace. Bye, guys.